Howdy, friends.
Hello.
What can I do for you?
I just looked at my opener, and I have a sideboard card in here, which is this one.
Okay. This is game one, I'm presuming?
Yep. Just,
Okay.
Yeah.
So this would be...
probably from testing with my friend last night.
Oh, you're good, you're good. I would call this, my initial thought is to call this a deck error. Since you called it on yourself, I would... Do you have a deck list provided?
I would have gave it to the judge. I don't have it personally, but I mean, if we count on my sideboard, there's just 14 cards.
Okay. I'd confirm with the deck. I'd go get the deck list to confirm this, because I don't want you to be like, oh, you just don't like this hand. I want to try to redo it. I think this will just count as. Only 1 second. I think there's something about.
So you can just like talk and pretend that we can't hear you.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and in general, like
The microphone's not like super
we're players,
powerful.
not judges. So like, talk to me like you're talking to a player, not like you're talking to another judge.
Okay, gotcha. So I know that there is a caveat if you catch it on yourself at the first possible moment. Now I don't recall that, so I'm going to look in the IPG for that. What exactly was that? He has a sideboard card in his opening hand. It's game one. Didn't do sideboard. There's still 14 cards in the sideboard, so we can, assuming we have a deck list, we can confirm that it is a sideboard card.
So I'd say, if I probably have to ask, but I would say you'd probably put the card back into your sideboard, and then I'll think you just probably draw a new card for its place.
Okay, so are you like saying what you think the answer is, or like guessing what the answer is?
Are you giving a ruling, or are you still talking about
I will say that is what I would rule it out. You put it back and draw.
Are there any dissensions there, or are you all in agreement?
Confirming the card is in your was supposed to be in your sideboard. This is game one. We put that card back in the sideboard. I don't believe he would be pulling an extra card off the top like he says. I think you're shuffling your deck and then you're redrawing the set. And then we continue for play. But at REL, I don't think we give. There wouldn't be a penalty for that top. We'd get a game loss for having a deck.
Okay, so we've got one vote for game loss. We've got one vote for you said put it back and just continue playing.
We'll draw a card.
Ben, where are you going?
I would call it a warning.
Okay.
If an opponent has made any strategic decisions based on the sideboard card, they're going to lose a game loss. So you called it, you caught it immediately. I would say warning, return that card to your sideboard, draw a 7th card. Assuming that the sideboard is correct and the deck list is correct.
All right, now we're gonna do like a vote. Like we've got like 3 solid options here.
Yep.
What does everybody think out of the 3 options that was presented should be the correct ruling?
I'd say I agree with the warning for drawing a new card.
Now we've got 2 votes for the warning.
I'm still sticking with where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I also could definitely be wrong, so I'm here to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Ethan, because it was your infraction, maybe we'll let you go first for the thoughts about.
So I do agree that it is a warning because I called it on myself. So there's no opportunity to angle shoot or gain advantage. It's that I realize that I've made a mistake and I'm calling on it. So I do agree with that. I do agree with returning the card to the sideboard, and I do agree with a forced mulligan, but I do not agree with the 7.
Okay, that I can understand that.
All right. So
Is there a particular reason why it would be why it should be a forced mulligan as opposed to a strong 7?
Actually, I'm interested. I only see the advantage of. I guess maybe when you shuffle, technically you have 61 cards in your deck, but I feel like that might actually be an advantage. That could be wrong.
I mean,
okay, so now it's my turn to like propose what I think the infraction
I just don't know if
penalty
there's
fix
a
is.
philosophy reason as to why the mulligan has to happen.
Okay, so scroll into the appropriate. First of all, let's identify what the correct infraction is, right?
oh,
So
Yeah.
what is the correct infraction in this situation?
Just be deck problem.
Okay. Does everybody sign their name on a piece of paper that says deck problem for this
Yes.
player? Okay. So a player, the contents of a deck or sideboard do not match the deck list registered, and the deck list represents what the player intended to play. So I feel good about that. Everybody feeling good about that. Okay. So now we're gonna take a look at the additional remedy. So we're gonna locate any cards missing from the deck and any incorrect cards in any game zone. So there are no such things that fit under that. So we're going to skip down. If the error caused a violation of a companion restriction, again, not necessarily relevant here. And if there were missing cards. So then we have a section for if there were like extra cards, because that was the situation here. We had 14 cards here and 61 cards here. So so there are no missing cards in the deck. So there is no doing that. So now we've got some upgrades that we need to consider. All right. So if the while presented to the opponent for pre-game shuffling, okay, no, that's not when we noticed it. If an opponent may have made strategic decisions based on the presence of cards, no, that's not where we did it. Or if the error resulted in any more copies of a main deck card being played than were registered or allowed. So do you have any Assassin's Trophies in your main deck?
Right. There are none.
Okay, so none of the 3 upgrades that are possible is applicable to this situation here. So with that being the case, the correct penalty would be a warning. Now we're going to talk about the fix. None of the like stuff in the additional remedy is going to be saying anything about like taking a forced mulligan or doing something. But we do have the question about whether to draw an additional card, right? So locate any cards missing from the deck and any incorrect cards in any game zone. Reveal those to the opponent. The opponent chooses which of the missing ones replaces each incorrect card. If there are more cards being removed than added, we prioritize the ones that are not in the library first. If there are still additional cards not in the library that need replacing, they're replaced by cards from the random portion of the library. So that specific sentence indicates that we would have him draw a card to replace that. Okay. Now also, even though I saw it and like heard about it like during this ruling, I think it's important to mention that if this was a real case, the opponent is not entitled to know
Any of the information.
All of that information.
Well, they're certainly not entitled to know the cards here.
This card,
Right.
but they would be entitled to know. So like if there were cards that were going both ways.
Yeah. So
Like
the
say there were
opponent
3
chooses-
cards that were being taken out and 3 cards from the sideboard going in to replace them.
Yeah.
Then they would
I would be the one
of the
choosing that,
cards.
so therefore
Yeah.
I would have that information. So
Right, because that's not exactly a hidden card error, but it uses a similar fix to it.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
That'd be a kind of a okay way to think about it. So yeah, that's great. Any other questions about this ruling?
That was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, now yes.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is probably a pretty common situation to have come up. And the rules for it have changed like a few times throughout Magic's history. So
As shown by me getting it wrong.
yeah, there was a time in Magic's history where the other person who said game loss, I believe there was a time when it would have been game loss.
It was.
There would have been a time when what Ethan originally said would have been correct. There would have been a time, I think, where it would have been warning and you don't get to redraw a card. So I think that literally every single
Every
one of the
option.
answers that got said sometime would have been correct at some point in Magic's history. So that kind of underscores the importance of like keeping on top of like recent policy changes.
Yeah, I had to. Actually, where can I find the REL or I guess the sheet?
Oh, the stuff that I was
IPG.
reading out of?
Yeah,
So that all comes from the infraction procedure guide.
And you can just search for that. It's on Wizard's website. The nice,
IPG, I'm
convenient.
guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, if you have an app on your phone, it probably is in that app.
I think it's do you have an Android?
Yeah, I have Companion.
MTG Judge Core.
Yeah, Judge Core and Familiar both have, and they have it nice too, where it's like searchable. So like if you want to go to the missed trigger section, you just click on the missed trigger section, and it zooms you right down there. So
I
yeah,
have Familiar. So I think I might download that real quick before.
I was gonna say, definitely I recommend not using Companion or not looking stuff up on Scryfall or Gather, but like having an app, like a dedicated app.
Thankful I got that right. 'Cause I mean, I honestly was just going off my gut there.
I
'cause
was going to
thought-
say, additionally, it only helps you being able to actually look things up in the IPG.
Exactly.
The
I
part where you
prefer
can
it.
reference the actual text where it says, because then if the player says, I think that's wrong, Judge, then you have the ability. Now, usually you'll like know what the answer is, and then you'll say what the answer is. So you need a little bit higher level of familiarity with the policy documents to be able to like in real time find the specific spot where it says you're right.
I've had that problem before.
But you know, that's something you can consider like trying to build up to, I guess.
Did you say it was MTT familiar?
Yeah, Familiar is the one I use. Core is another very common one, the one that you recommended.
Yeah, familiar is what I use.
Perfect. Yeah.
And there isn't any like special reason why I use one over the other. It's just that like that's the one that like existed. Well, no, it's like the first one that I downloaded, so you know, it hasn't been bad enough for me to want to switch yet.
Once you learn one, you're not going to try to learn all the others.
Yeah, I mean they all basically do the same thing.
I think I would have agreed with the mulligan if say a card from the deck was being replaced, because then that actually changes what you would have drawn. You know what I mean? Because like if there was extra cards in the deck, that could have changed how your hand would have been formed. The extra card in the deck.
I think that's why the opponent gets the choice of what goes where, because it's like you're theoretically replacing, like you're going to shuffle the deck after you replace the random cards in the deck, but the one in the hand, it's like, you know, it's replacing that card that you would have drawn for a card you would have drawn.
And let's not forget that like we haven't started the gameplay part yet, so
Right.
we're still in the mulliganing process.
Exactly.
So if we don't like this, then we can like mulligans are still a thing that can happen.
Still an option.
Plus,
yeah.
aren't we supposed to also find aren't we supposed to find like the least interruptive way to fix the problem without obviously completely you still have to follow what you have to follow in the rules, but like isn't the least
least
intrusive,
disruptive.
yeah, least disruptive, least intrusive like procedure to fix it.
Usually what I try and do is I try to find like the infraction that like fits the best with what physically happened in the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time that's going to correspond to the least intrusive way to fix it, but not necessarily.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, great call, guys.
Yeah.